Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Savania de Barros.
Hello, everybody. I'm Savania de Barros, the protector of athletes, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Dominic Militello. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him before I go into all of my spills and my questions. But first, to remind you guys of who I am the protector of athletes and the owner and founder of the S.L. de Barros Law Firm, where we represent 6- and 7-figure business owners and athletes in business. So without further ado, Mr. Dominic specializes in working with former elite athletes, artists, and executives who struggle in their transition to find their second or next career. He is a former professional soccer player, also played at the Division I college level before he founded Career Coaching for Athletes. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the middle of what happened in his life, and we might get an opportunity to delve into those things as we go further into this podcast episode. But Career Coaching, if you guys have not seen it, heard about it, make sure that you go to Instagram and follow him on LinkedIn, because what he does is he assists former athletes in career transition. He has interviewed and worked with some of the most prominent athletes in the world, including 5-time world boxing champion Evander Holyfield, who doesn't know him, and NFL leading rusher Maurice Jones-Drew. His motto is just say thank you. Welcome to the podcast, Dominic. How are you?
Savania, thank you, man. I'm doing fantastic, and it's really an honor and a privilege to be here speaking and spending some time with you today. So thanks for having me. Before we get started into some of my stuff, I have a question for you. It's probably a little bit off the cuff, but when I first heard about you, I obviously did some research. I have a question. How can you do so much? Savania, I have a hard time making an online dinner reservation. You are doing attorney stuff. You're doing podcasts. You're writing books. You're doing NIL. You're doing it. Can you just give me I have a pen right here, and I'm taking notes. I need your top 3 secrets of how you get so much done, please.
Oh my gosh, Dominic, I have no freaking idea. In my family, I think it's a trait. I get it from my mom. You know how most people say, I get it from my mama. No, I think I get that from my mom. I try to prioritize my days. And unfortunately, there's been a COVID scare at my kid's school, so he might pop into this door. So he's going to be home. He's going to be home for the next 2 weeks. And it was extremely exhausting yesterday because I found myself trying to do work. I had 3 meetings, also had to go and edit an article for a magazine, and I had to teach my son. So we did artwork, and we also did letter writing, and we did a little bit of phonics. And boy, was I exhausted, but it was just trying to manage and balance those things. And I can't tell you what the sauce is, what the formula is. If somebody figure it out, let me know, holla at your girl, because I definitely need help with that. But I just try to prioritize my days, go hard in the things I know I can do, and whatever is left to be done, we'll have to get to it the next day. There's always going to be something that needs to get done.
Well, I just wanted to say before we get started, congratulations on everything you're doing. Thank you for everything you're doing. It's so needed out there in the space that we're involved in. And so I just wanted to let you know that before we get started. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you are also doing amazing things. So before we get into the meat of it all, I want to know, what are you sporting about?
Yeah, so, here, let me give you a little context and get everybody kind of up to speed on the background and stuff. So I grew up in Southern California, was a 3-sport athlete in high school. Thought I was going to go to UCLA to play on a soccer scholarship. Got started the after my seniors, the summer after I graduated from high school, I started the recruiting process and totally flubbed that up. Ended up going to a JC for a couple years. Was fortunate to have 1 scholarship offer to UNLV in Las Vegas, where I was on 2 championship teams there. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. A former team of mine, a semi-pro team that I've been playing with, was going to Las Vegas for a tournament. I wasn't going to go. My dad said, just make it your last hurrah. Well, we ended up winning this national tournament. A coach from Salt Lake City was scouting pro players and came up to me after the tournament and said, hey, we want you to come to Salt Lake City and try out for this team. Can you come? And I said, Coach, I don't even know where Salt Lake City is. First of all, I'm from Southern California. Plus, I don't know if my little Toyota truck's going to make it that far, wherever it is. And so by the time I got home from the tournament, there was a round trip plane ticket up here to Salt Lake City, came up here, signed a pro contract, had 4 great years of professional athletics. When I retired, 3 days after I retired, Savannah, got married into a big house, 3 kids, and a dog named Rufus. My wife was a former gymnast, college gymnast. She was just starting nursing school. And I had to go out and start being a dad, a stepdad, and start providing, and had no idea how to do it. And so my journey really started kind of 5 to 6 years into my marriage, when I was absolutely lost. Oprah Winfrey calls it going through the dark night of the soul, where my identity was gone, my confidence was gone. I'd been bouncing in and out of jobs for 8 years. My wife had had enough of it. And so we ended up separating for almost 2 years, which sent me on a journey of self-discovery, self-reflection, self-transformation. What happened was, I had a career management company actually hired me. They were working with executive clients in career transition. And they said, Dominic, we want to hire you to tell our clients what not to do in the job search process, because you've done everything wrong. And if you'll tell your story, we'll give you some tools and strategies that will help you should you need them in the future. But don't worry about that, because we're going to take this company global and you're going to be set for life. Well, in 4 short years, they ran the company into the ground. But at least now I came away with some strategies, some tools that I could use to find my next career, which I did. Found a really great job. That one unfortunately came to an end. I found another great job. A buddy of mine asked if I could help him. I did. Somebody else helped if I could, help them. I did. And then when I got let go from a company that I had built from 0 clients to 150 over 4 years, they just came in and said, hey, we're making a change. And I said, I know, we got to grow and expand. There's so much out there. They said, no, we're making a change with you, Dominic. I'm like, what? And so my first reaction, Savannah, was I wanted to reach across the table and exert a little bit of negative energy. But I just said, you know what, thank you very much. And I came home and I told my wife, I said, I'm never going to go to work for somebody else again that's going to dictate my future, my work ethic, my integrity, my morals. If I'm going to work hard, I'm going to work hard for us. And so I started career coaching for athletes. And ironically enough, my first client wasn't even an athlete. He's a doctor of engineering, 2 master's degree, a bachelor's degree, black belt Sig Sigma, and he's struggling for 12 months in the job search process. And he asked me if I could help him. And I said, Dr. Cavett, I'm not really sure if I can, but let's try it. And he goes, Dominic, do you think I need more education to start landing interviews and offers? And I said, Dr. Cavett, no, you don't need more education. People are going to think you're weird if you go get another doctorate degree, right? You don't need more education. You need a system, a process to get you in front of the right people at the right time, talking about the right subject matter. And so, to make a long story endless, as my buddy Larry likes to say, he is now probably going to be one of the youngest senior executives in the world's largest company in Walmart as a senior engineer executive. And so he calls me once a quarter and says, here's what they're doing with me now. Here's where I'm growing and expanding. And so I've just started doing that with, I've been doing it for over 7 years now, but that's the process. I mean, I've refined the process. I call it the process to prosperity. And I work with athletes, executives, and helping them just through the career transition process. That's it in a nutshell.
I love it. And there's so much that you shared in that I want to break down, because you said you were let go through a lot of things that you thought were going to be great opportunities and were going to lead to something better. And you just said, you know what, thank you. You had to refrain from putting yourself into or responding in such a negative way that could tarnish what you did learn along those journeys, although they didn't turn out the way that you thought that they would turn out. And then you said during the time that you lost your identity, this caused some issues and conflicts in your personal life, separated from your wife, but that seemed to have been a blessing in disguise, because you began to come on a journey or go on a journey of self-discovery. And what I get from those two things, being let go, finding a way to say thank you in spite of the difficulty, and also finding and discovering who you are in the midst of emotional, personal pain, there's a level of mental and emotional resilience you have to pull yourself through that. Not everybody can do that. Like when your life, like it's just falling apart around you, not everybody can see the glass half full, right? And so what do you think it is that has allowed you to find this type of resilience to keep moving forward in your life and to ultimately build something that is helping other people?
Yeah, it's a great question. And kind of like I asked you, how do you get so much done? And a lot of it, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I know my athletic upbringing has a lot to do with it because I was so passionate. I fell in love with athletics at such a young age. I just loved everything about it. And so as I was climbing the athletic ladder to the next thing, whether it was going from like rec soccer to comp or club soccer to high school soccer to collegiate soccer I just loved everything about it. And one thing on the real world side of things is that I knew I just loved my family, right? I loved my wife. We got married for a reason. We didn't get married because we wanted to make each other miserable. I loved my kids. I loved what I was doing. And I just felt like I needed and wanted to get back to that somehow in some way. So that was the thing that kind of drove me. Now, the catalyst, I think, that helped bridge the gap between where I was and my wants and desires was my belief system. See, I had a belief system, especially around marriage, that you just don't get divorced. You get married and you're married for life, which I think is a good belief to have. But it didn't serve me when I was unofficially divorced and officially separated from my wife, about to be officially divorced, right? So when I sat down and said, you know what, why am I so set on hanging on and holding on to this marriage that's not seeming to work and it's causing so much damage and pain for everybody? What is it? And so I asked my mom, I said, Mom, what is it about marriage that I'm just like, and she said, well, we have said to you since you were little that on both sides of the family, there's no divorce. We can't find divorce on either side, your dad's side or our side. So you were raised with this belief that once you're married and you don't get divorced. And so I said, but I know, but I think I'm about to get divorced. And that's not going to work for me. And she said, well, can you come up with a new kind of definition for that? And I thought about it. I was like, you know what, maybe I can. So I said, why did I get married? I got married because I want for my spouse what she wants for her, and I will support that. And then I said, that may not include me. And that was hard to hear myself say that, but I had to accept it. And once I accepted the new definition of marriage, then it allowed her the freedom and the space mentally and physically to do what she needed to do. It allowed me the mental and physical space I needed to do to get myself back on track. And it seemed to work. And so our conversations after that moment of kind of inspiration, our conversations seemed to soften. It seemed to have more empathy and sympathy for each other. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. And so the next thing I did, Simone, I looked at my other belief systems, the things, health and career and, social life and all these things. And I started saying, who's in my head helping me create these definitions? And just like my parents and grandparents were in my head about the definition of marriage, I heard all these other people in my head helping me write the definition of these belief systems. And I said, you know what? 95% of my life right now is living on somebody else's belief system that I've accepted. And so I went through each one of those and I rewrote definitions that started to serve me and my life. And then all of a sudden it's like magic. I got a great job. That's when the career management company hired me. My wife and I started to reconcile a little bit, and I got healthier. I felt better, and I started contributing. And so that I think was the catalyst that helped us get back on track as a couple, and me getting back into what I call a growth mindset.
This is why I love talking to you. Since the first time we connected, I'm like, yes, Dominic. Man, okay, so there's a lot there. And as you broke that down, it reminded me of something my speaking coach has said before about limiting mindsets or limiting beliefs, right? We all have them, but we don't all necessarily know that they're there. We just think that this is the way of life, this is what it has been, this is as good as I am. I'm reminded of the first client that you talked about here, and he asked, do I need more education, right? That was an issue I think I struggled with for a while. Do I need more education? Do I need to do more to show people that I'm worthy, right, of these particular opportunities? And so as you broke that down, I can see how sometimes our value, or how we tend to value ourselves, our self-worth, is tied into what our belief systems are. But if we can empower our own selves to start breaking away and pulling back or peeling all of the things, the stereotypes, what the community has said we should be or who we are, what our culture claims that we should be, and what we are, what we've seen in an environment in terms of our family, like how our families dealt with certain situations, all of those things started to build up to create a somewhat of a false narrative of us, but we started to believe it.
Yeah.
And so not only does it become a limiting belief, but it also becomes a false belief set that ends up clouding the value of who we are, the very nature of who we are. And so we have to do that work, but we have to also be grateful when something, I don't want to say something bad happens, but like you were going through the separation with your wife and you were losing job opportunities, right? We have to look at those situations as opportunities for more clarity so that we can unfilter all of those limiting beliefs and mindsets and issues around our value set so that we can step out and be the person that we're destined to be. And you honestly did that. I mean, that is amazing. I don't know anybody that sat down and started like writing from the basics of what I believe about marriage, not what I've seen from my family or my culture or my environment or, you know, my country. What do I believe about it? That's powerful.
Yeah, thank you. But I was forced to do that. Right. I was in a situation where I was almost forced to have to look at my background, look at my belief system and look at that. And so you take that now into what I do for my clients and what I do as a business. I use the job search process as a vehicle to help my clients understand they're not necessarily who they think they are. And they're certainly not necessarily who they think they are in the job search process. Because my message around career advancement, job searching, is that just think about this for a second. When we are in job search mentality, right? What are the 4 things that we all do looking for a new job? If you ask just the average, anybody out in the streets, if you're looking for a job, what do you do? Get a resume together, go to the job boards, network, and get a recruiter to help you find opportunities. And then I say, okay, of those 4 things, if they don't work and get you the results you're looking for, what do you do? How do you find your next career job? Right? And they're like, I just do more of it. So you've accepted a belief system that somebody told you should do those 4 things. And if they don't work, you just keep doing more of it. Dr. Cavett was the same way. He's like, do I need to get more education? Because these 4 things aren't working for me. And I said, no, I want you to take a different perspective on it. Let's look at this job search from a different perspective. What about you being the CEO of your own personal brand, Dr. Cavett? Tell me what that brand represents. Who are you? What do you do? Why would somebody want to work with you? What are your great qualities? Tell me one of your great accomplishments that you've ever done in your career. And he said, well, I sat on a board of NASA engineers to help get food to the International Space Station to help feed the astronauts that were on the space station. And I said, you did what? That is amazing. Tell me more about it. And he went into this whole engineering. I had no idea what he was talking about. I couldn't understand it. But I said, how many people have you shared that story with in the job search? He goes, well, nobody's ever asked me that. I didn't say that. I didn't ask that. How many people have you shared that with? He said, well, nobody. I said, Dr. Cavett, that's where your value comes into play. When you start, and I said, let's lead with that story in this job search process from now on. I want you to just go out and tell people, hey, listen, by the way, I was not part of a NASA engineering team. You're going to get attention from certain people. And all of a sudden, he starts getting all these inquiries about doing speaking engagements, to come on this show and talk about this and do that and get interviews for offers. That's what led him to the world's largest company, Walmart. But he changed the way he looked at himself, and he changed how he looked at himself interacting with the job search process. And so when I start working with anybody who's in career transition and struggling, the first thing I say to them is put your resume down and stop looking for a job.
That's good. And I'm like, what you did? Like when you were telling that story, that's impactful. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you to shift gears a bit.
Yeah.
You have worked with some amazing people and you've gotten some amazing results, but why would you consider yourself an expert in this field of career coaching, or at least helping people to find new career paths? And why would they want to work with you? Why should they work with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would just say, really, it's just because that I've been through and did everything the wrong way, right? Like I said, if I hire a coach for me in my personal life, whether it's a financial coach or a marriage counselor, whatever, I want to know they've been through the battles. I want to know they went into it, they struggled, they were challenged, but they came through it. Because those kind of individuals, as they go through that process, they pick up wisdom and knowledge and experiences that then they can then share with whoever they're working with. And for me, because it was so traumatic for me for almost 15 years of going through this, every holiday, like I would dread the holiday season, because I was either in between jobs, just starting a job, or just got fired from a job, or starting a multi-level thing that had product in the garage, or some stupid thing that I was involved in, right? And so everybody in my family was like, hey, do you have a job this year? Or did you get fired? I hated the holiday season, right? So the reason why I believe I can talk to a doctor of engineering, a captain of the U.S. Navy, of the U.S. Fifth Fleet, CEO, CIO, CMOs, elite athletes. And the reason why I feel like I can converse with them on a very high level is because I've been through the trenches, right? And that's what I look for when I work with people. And I think that's the value I bring to any conversation that I have.
No, that's amazing. And I loved, I'm trying to pull it back up here, your workshop, Process to Prosperity, how you take an individual to teach them how they can be prosperous in their lives by putting down the resume, by, grinding a wheel that does not necessarily work anymore. And so if you guys are looking to make a transition in your career and you want to know how to do that properly and prosperously, make sure that you connect with Dominic for sure. He is on LinkedIn. You can search him, Dominic Militello. You can also follow him on Instagram at Career Coach for Athletes. So that's at career_coach_for_athletes. Make sure that you definitely connect with him. Dominic, is there any additional information or contact information that you would like to share with our audience?
I mean, just shoot me a text. 801-913-4735. I'm not afraid to give that cell number out. Just text me. Let me know your situation. We'll schedule a time to talk. And if I can help, or if I can provide some insights, I'd love to do it. Otherwise, careercoachingforathletes.com. Like you said, the Instagram page, LinkedIn. But I just love being of service. I have a motto of serve more, earn more, play more. I think it's okay to earn money by serving, and when you serve and earn, you play, and then you realize they're all three intertwined anyway. And at the end of the day, like I said, I just, you talk about the challenges, and one thing, when I was in the midst of my challenges, this is where I came up with the motto of just say thank you. As an athlete, when we win, we're happy, and when we lose, we try to learn from that loss. And so, I heard this one time and I picked it up: we win or we learn. And so I started looking at all my challenges and struggles as a learning opportunity, and I would give thanks to those learning opportunities, no matter how traumatic they were. I said, thank you for the traumatics. Thank you for the successes. And to me, they're all bundled in. They're all necessary for us to progress and grow. And so that's where I come up with just say thank you. So Savannah, thank you for the opportunity to be here and spend time with you. And And again, thank you for all you're doing in this space.
You are welcome, and thank you so much for even taking notice. I think that is one of the biggest things for individuals like us who have been through the ringer, who have found resolutions, and who wants to serve other people. We want to make sure that folks get it and that they understand they can also create impact. And so I definitely thank you so much for even being open to coming on this platform and continually working through all of the stressors and the trials that you've had, because it's showing that it's necessary to get on top. So thank you a million times.
Yeah, me too.
All right, guys. So check this out. Make sure that you go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to What Are You Sporting About so you never miss an episode. If you are a college athlete, if you are an athletic director, I want you to book me.
Thanks for joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Savania DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success, because we're all sporting about something.